Welcome, Sue, to the Everyday Mystic. This is fun for us to get to talk in this kind of space about these kinds of things. We met in a completely different realm of our lives. So I'm so excited to dive in and talk with you about your world, your perspective on spirituality and on what we'll call mysticism, this direct connection with a divine knowledge. But as it relates to your world, so just a little background for listeners, Sue and I met
Yeah,
at a business marketing event. So this was, we can't really remember which exact event it was. We both used to be in the New England area. Sue is still in the New England area. And we met at some business event, some business conference.
yeah.
I was speaking there and hit it off. We would see each other at events all the time, but this was all completely with our business gear on. We were like in the hustle and grind, doing our thing. Like we weren't talking about spirituality, right?
Right. Definitely not.
Yeah. So Sue and I reconnected on LinkedIn, and she wanted to come on the podcast because she has, and this is what I found. It's been so interesting getting back on LinkedIn because I got rid of all of my social media accounts, Sue. When
Yeah.
COVID hit, we decided to go off grid and like get a homestead and just have a completely, I wanted to make cheese. I just like didn't want to be connected to marketing, to digital marketing, to really the business world in the way that I had been in any way,
Mm.
shape, or form. And so I cut the cord hard and I deleted all of my social media accounts, which was crazy. Uh, but what I found in getting back on, I've created a new LinkedIn and a new Instagram. What I found by getting back onto Instagram and talking as me now, not just my like me with the
Yeah.
business hat on, I'm connecting to all these people that are like, "Ooh, I also have this spiritual side." And oh yeah, this is great. And so it's been so fun to have people come out of the woodwork, come out of the spiritual closet.
Yeah. Well, how long has it been that you were off social? Like, how long was it?
It was almost 3 years.
Wow, that's a long hiatus.
It was, especially in the social world, as you know, right? And how
Yeah.
quickly things changed. And so when I got back on, LinkedIn hadn't changed all that much, but Instagram certainly had. And you're an
Hmm.
Instagram expert. It's something that you've been doing before Instagram was a thing, right?
Yeah. 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So throughout this conversation, I want you to help me fall back in love with social media because I know there's good there. I know
Yeah.
there's soul there. I know that there's amazing connections that can happen there, but I just lost so much love for it. And now that I'm back, I'm trying to kind of get back in a groove with it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate the context, as I'm sure your listeners do as well. And I have to be honest with you, I very rarely post on LinkedIn. And the reason I post it is because I'm speaking at a conference in Portland, Maine for the third time. It's been a hot second since I've been on stages. And from that, I mean, this is the power of social media. From that, you saw it or you commented or there was something there that, and then when I tapped into you, I saw that you did this podcast. And so of course, being from Boston and all and being bold, I'm like, I think I could add value to your podcast. And so here we are. So that in and of itself is a testament to the power of showing up in a place where you want to connect with people with similar values.
Yeah, it's so true. And every time, I mean, even from the very early stages of social media, when we first got involved way back when, there was incredible value and just the reconnection with old contacts that you would have probably, unless you ran into each other in your hometown in a grocery store or something, you
Yeah.
probably never hear from them, see them again. And here we are getting to see each other's lives, connect back in. The thing about social media, when I used to teach about it, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, is that it isn't powerful unless you use it socially, right? Unless you actually socialize there. If you're just
Right.
pushing out content and posting all your beautiful things and all of your, the stuff that you think people want to see, but you're not actually interacting, I'm not sure how much you get out of that.
Right. Right. It's just because it's your agenda and not coming from a place of serving and helping others. in some beautiful way. And, I've always showed up as someone who is curious about connecting with one person every day and making that life change in some way, because the amplification of that one person is so great if it's done well. And you build community and credibility and opportunity from making people feel good about something that they desire or want.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into social media in the first place. What was your
Yeah, so
invitation in?
yeah, I love that question. So my brain is wired and always has been wired for social media. Way back when my daughters were little, I learned about Facebook out of the gate so that I could kind of track what they were doing on their computers, and in their groups that they thought were being private from their parents. I was able to like figure out the back end of these conversations that these middle schoolers and high schoolers were having, so I can just be more connected to things that were important. And so that plus, I've always had my own businesses. I've had 18, and I've
Wow.
always loved marketing with the right messaging for whatever it was that I was selling. And so whether it was posters or hanging things at coffee shops with pull tabs, I was marketing and trying to connect to audience. And then when my family was on a vacation in Belize, and my twins at the time, they were in, I think, high school, were scrolling on their phone, and I had no idea what that was. I was really curious. They weren't talking or texting, they were scrolling. And when I asked what they were doing, they said, "Mom, we're on Instagram. Don't you dare get on it." So it was kind of like, of course, you get on the platforms that your teenagers are on, and you get curious about what they're doing. And I saw a huge value in Instagram. My brain being very visually like on fire daily. Like I see things before I read things and connect things. And I had a store here on Cape Cod in Massachusetts. It was a seasonal seaside boutique, and I was looking to market strategically. And Instagram was perfect for that because of the power of the hashtags at the time, which are not nearly the same now, and because of the geolocation, where I could easily point people to get to my store, which was in a golf community and kind of hard to get to. So it was great that maps would open up and people could find very easily the anchor bracelet that they wanted to buy, or the beach bags I was selling. And it blew my mind how many people were walking into the store and saying, "I want to buy this," and then showing me on their phone, like, this thing that you just posted on Instagram. And I was like, what just happened? That's crazy. And so I really embraced the platform, and then had the opportunity to attend a conference in California that was all about online marketing. Remember, this is 12 years ago, and
Mhm.
and creating a business online. And I came back from that conference, put my phone in the tree, and this YouTube video, we can link it in the show notes, is there, where I declared that I was going to be the leading Instagram educator and teach other business owners how to have success on Instagram. And I'm big into manifesting whatever I want and getting it. Like, that's been my life. And I always have had a vision of what I wanted the business to become, and it did. So whether I wanted to be on stage at QVC, which I had, or speak on stages for Creative Live, or um, be a keynote, or like whatever I wanted, I just leaned into getting it and not stopping until I did. And so there's this nice kind of energy around what you are here for in this podcast, because I'm living proof.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about manifestation and the way that you do it, because you mentioned that you're highly visual
Yes.
and you see things before you see them in your mind's eye or your third eye, let's say, before you see them
Yeah.
in the world. So is that how your manifestation process works? You'll see it in kind of its form and and then you step into it, or tell us a little bit about that.
It's great. That's a great question. And I'm not a person who does visual boards, like vision boards.
Hmm.
I've never really done vision boards. I just can visualize
You haven't
this.
needed to.
And yeah, and so it's a gift because I don't like to waste time or money doing something that doesn't make sense. And to me, buying the magazines, cutting the magazines, and finding a space to put that is a whole nother thing that you have to do versus I can just kind of visualize an opportunity from what I know to be true from the life experiences I've had being an entrepreneur my whole existence, pretty much from 13 on. And so I just can tell if something has a market, has the marketability to sell or to grow a community. And that literally, with this, being an Instagram educator, everything I imagine to be true has happened. And so to answer your question, it's just a lot of it's based on experience, knowledge, and wisdom. Okay. So if you're right out of college or you're listening to this and you're a teenager or in your 20s, like just know that you need life experiences to make decisions that are going to serve you so that you know what to lean in and say yes to and you know what to say no to. And so I'm really good at knowing what serves me based on the energy around that decision. Now, I will tell you that I am an avid Audible listener, more so than books, because I just can one and a half times listen to things faster than reading.
Mhm.
And the book that I want to reference, which you probably know about, is Atomic Habits
Mm.
by James Clear. And I just love this habit stacking mentality around living each day to its fullest and just feeling all the emotions of what ensues from doing that. And I think a lot of people don't feel or acknowledge feelings, they just do.
Mhm.
And so I'm always thinking about how does this make me feel? And my past decade plus of working and doing this work, I've never felt better. I've never felt more impactful in leaving a legacy that has profound reach, global reach from social media and community and speaking on stages all over the world. And it's just that impact has felt and meant so much more to me than the income that's made. And I truly believe that income follows and is so much easier when you make impact of meaning.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a different kind of currency. We often think of currency as just, the dollars coming in, but we are fed a currency or there's energy, a current that comes from so many different things. It could be that impact.
Yeah.
It could be the feeling that you have when you just serve your community
Oh
and
man, it's
right.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, as someone who has primarily sold physical products my whole life, I never had those feelings. I mean, I love selling. I love making money. I love what money gives me to make choices to travel and be philanthropic and help other people and buy the things that I want.
Hmm.
But when you are changing someone's life, it's a whole different level
Mm.
that I didn't. So you don't know what you don't know till you experience it. And I want everyone to hear that because I didn't even know that these feelings could exist until I helped other people understand how to use Instagram to grow their business, their brand, their movement, their you know foundation, whatever it is that they sell their book. I didn't know until I did it. And
Hmm.
I didn't plan on being the Instagram expert. It was all just happened organically, as you heard.
Yes. And I will add though that you envisioned this.
Yes.
So
Yes. Oh, I
you
did.
you set
I
it
did.
into motion to become. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I really, it's when you watch the video, you'll see, it was kind of the assignment from the conference. And I take all assignments seriously that help me get to the next step. Or I am definitely that person that's in momentum always and not complacent or settling. I always want to level up and learn and grow because, when you're an entrepreneur, there's no destination. You're on a
Mhm.
journey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, and all of our lives are that way. I think that if anybody doesn't feel into their life that way, they're most likely stuck in a program that told them that they're this and they have to do these things to get to there. And then, you're on some sort of mountain, but that mountain is an illusion. That there is there, well, I guess there's many peaks and then there's also many valleys, right? In
Yeah.
this whole journey. So tell us about a valley of yours. Have you dropped into a place of maybe a dark night of the soul or like a deeper valley where you were like, shit, how am I going to get out of here?
Yeah. I mean, not so much in this business, although there have certainly been challenges and from expansion and team dynamics and that. But if I would reflect back to a valley, it really was when I had this business with a partner who convinced me that she should have 60% of the business. Don't I mean that would never happen today. If
Mm,
you're going to be a partnership with someone, you're in partnership 50-50. But she convinced me that her marketing degree from BC was worth more than my nutrition degree from Simmons because I was just an entrepreneur. And so I just rolled with it. This was a craft business. We were on QVC with it. We created double sided tape for the scrapbooking industry and beads, and we were in Michaels and AC Moore. We did well, but we didn't have a patent, so we weren't able to really scale the way we wanted, and we were in debt. And when it came time to dissolve the business, she had to pay 60% of the debt. but the but the valley was I didn't like the way I felt around her energy of feeling like her value was more than me,
mm,
and I just succumbed to her too often. Like I didn't like the way I felt and I didn't like the way she made me feel. Or I took that energy and just it made me feel lesser.
mm,
And yeah, it was a place that didn't feel good. In fact, we were in this business for 4 years, and our kids grew up as childhood friends, and I'm not in touch with her anymore, because this is where you take an audit of your relationships in your life and you decide, am I getting anything from this, or is this constantly making me feel a way that doesn't serve me? And I realized like life is too short and I didn't want to put my energy into this relationship. I wanted to leave space and expansion for new relationships that felt more mutually beneficial.
mhm. Speaking of leveling up, I mean, that's what happens, right? As you level up, some of your relationships drop away because they
Yeah.
are reflections of that level down you or that, that other version of you. So I feel like, you were talking about experience and I obviously now being on the other side of 50 can relate to that more than I ever have of the value of experience because when you haven't gone through all of the ringer of life really and you haven't gone through those experiences of a partner betraying you the experience of um you know a close loved one dying, the experience of et
Mm.
cetera, that just comes with the time ticking, and yes, you can have some of those experiences early on and all of that, but there's also the added benefit of when, as your wisdom is growing, you also
Mhm.
handle those situations differently too as
Yeah.
you age, right?
Yeah, and because most of our clients that we work with are in their prime, I like to say in their prime more than midlife.
Love it.
Um, yeah, it's so good. It is a lot of them just don't have the confidence to show up as their full self because of the fear, the judgment, the lack of confidence, and all that work I had already done. And I think that when you really can let go of perfection and how you look, and focus more on impact and change and value, your life has so much more meaning
Mhm.
and you just surrender more.
Yeah. That's a beautiful concept and a practice, isn't it? Surrendering.
Yeah, it's one of
I
my favorite words.
Oh, it's so good, and it's it's a daily practice for me of surrendering to the energy of what's here rather than trying to force something that I want
Yeah.
to happen. It's surrendering to it's like, oh, I can visualize and put things in the vortex, if you will, right? I can have, like we talked about earlier, those powerful visualizations. However, I feel like those visualizations, and I don't know if you agree, they come from somewhere else. It's not like I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I want this and I picture it. It's like it drops in from somewhere and I'm just like, where'd that
Mhm.
come from? What I receive it. And
Right.
then it's a surrender to allowing it rather than this forced practice of, okay, I want to picture this life of, me in paradise somewhere with this beautiful man and blah blah blah. I feel like those kinds of manifestations don't work because they haven't really dropped in from divine source. You're it's not necessarily meant for you. And
Yeah.
opening up yourself up to actually what's meant for you, then the
Yeah.
magic happens, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and back to the word surrender, I just want to share like three things that I think would be helpful for people to hear. So, when my husband and I traveled around the Southern Hemisphere for 73 days, which was the trip of a lifetime, when we were in New Zealand, I jumped out of an airplane and he had no interest in that. And he's like, "Well, how did you just like get your mindset in the place of jumping?" And it's like, "Well, first of all, you're on a plane with 9 people and we are going 45 seconds after each other. But before you get on that plane, you have to surrender to the expert who is tandem with you, who has done 900 jumps. And you have to say that you are being cared for by someone out, not just yourself, but by the equipment and this person. And I was not nervous. I was excited to have this experience full on and jump 15,000 feet. It was pretty amazing and the most beautiful place in the world. And I just loved that I was able to do that. So that was one time. Another time is when I got my lenses replaced, I couldn't do LASIK and I had really bad vision. I was a dependent on glasses or contacts as soon as I woke up. And I was so sick and tired of juggling my prescription sunglasses and my glasses and finding them and losing them and keeping track of them. And oh my God, the glass, it's just a thing as you get older. And I'm like, I decided to get my lenses replaced, and it was a 6-minute procedure for each eye. And my husband was like, I could never do that because what if? And I'm like, this guy has done thousands and thousands. This is what he does for his life. He's the expert at it. And, the next day I take the patch off. I have 20/20 vision. I have 20/20 vision in both of my eyes. So my goal was I wanted to stand on stage so I could see the reaction to everyone in the audience and just feel that. And
Mm.
so now I can just read any sign from anywhere all day. So that was really cool. So that's number 2. And then the third one is most recent, and I wanna share this because I think this is so poignant for everyone that's thinking about this. Yesterday, and now I've done cold plunges in the ocean, and I do cold showers, and I did a cold plunge in Patagonia, but it was seconds. Yesterday, I did a real tub cold plunge, and my goal was 2 minutes, and it was so freaking cold. The first plunge, I could only stay in for 30 seconds, but then you alternate with the sauna, which is, like, next level everything, like hot to cold and back and forth. And I wanted to get to 2 minutes, and it took me to the fourth plunge to do it because I had to really set an intention. I had to say things like, "You're going to live. It's only 2 minutes. You can do this. You've done this, 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 and this. This is something that you can do." It was so hard. Your body gets so numb. It feels so good when you're done, but it was hard and it was like a workout, like a hard workout. And, I came home exhausted and slept really good last night, and I'm like, "I am so doing that again." But you don't know that you can do it till you try,
Mhm.
and you've gotta surrender to what's on the other side of the thing that you did.
Mhm.
And that's what gets me there always. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but
Yeah.
those are 3 examples.
Yeah, it is. It is that combination of faith in the universe or faith in God that I'm protected and that what's exactly meant to be and to happen is happening and will
Mhm.
happen. The more I surrender, the more is allowed to come in. So it's absolutely that. And it is what you're speaking of, the courage to do the thing that you don't yet see. Right. And living a spiritual life is, so many of my guests talk about this. It's the breadcrumb trail. It is, oh,
Mhm.
well, I go here because I see a breadcrumb or a glimmer or a whisper, whatever you want to call it. And that calls me to this thing. I don't know yet what's on the other side of that thing. I
Right.
don't know yet what that next step is, but I
Yeah.
know that it's that little step that's next and meant for me. And then just going life in this way. What we're taught to have the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, and know what your life is going to look like. And we're also fed this bill of goods that, like, oh, this is what your life should look like. This is a successful life. And once you're
Yeah.
there, you're going to feel amazing. That's that top of the mountain thing. And that's a bunch of
Yeah.
bullshit too, right? Because so many of us have gotten there, we achieved that. And then we're like, oh, wait a minute. Is this all there is? Like, is that really what life is? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, agree, and I love the unknown. I think that's just my entrepreneurial spirit. I love not knowing what's on the other side, and I feel like that's living life full on when you can conquer your fears and do it anyway.
Yeah. So many entrepreneurs. I mean, that is the common trait of an entrepreneur, right? And
Yeah.
so it wouldn't surprise me that many entrepreneurs would also be spiritual in this way because there's so much trust that is put into whether you're putting it completely in yourself or you're putting it in yourself and connected to the whole of
Mhm,
all that is. Whatever it
mhm.
is, there's a deep amount of trust that you have to have as an entrepreneur to keep going, right? To
Oh, for
just,
100%. Yeah,
yeah. So you've had 18 businesses,
yeah.
incredible amount of experience has been gathered and gleaned from that, right? And now how do you see business fitting into your overall life? Like how does business feed your life and what how do you see that as a piece or part of your whole?
Yeah, I mean, it is an extension of who I am. I feel like it's intertwined and interconnected because I can't imagine retiring. I can't imagine not doing something that is purposeful and meaningful. I have a lot of hobbies. Let me tell you, I do a lot of great things, cooking, travel, different exercises. I do all the things I want to do. I don't feel like I never say when I'm done working, I'll do that. Or like when I work less, I'll be able to do that. I fit that into my life just like I fit my business into my life. And that's for me the beautiful dance of being an entrepreneur and not being a part of this hustle culture, where I truly do feel like I have this beautiful work life balance that I've worked hard um, at balancing because it's so easy to fall into the I just need to do one more thing. When I get this thing done, I'll be able to do this thing. I'm not that person. I do all the things, like, always.
And
Yeah.
so you're balancing all the things at once. And through that balance, it sounds like you're feeding all aspects of you, that you get
I
to feed the business, but you also get to feed your body, you feed your soul that way.
Yeah, I love that you said body and soul. Over the past year and a half, I have been much more cognizant of all aspects of health, listening to great podcasts and learning from experts, scientists, understanding what's happening at the cellular level when you do things a certain way, being so much more conscious about quality of water and quality of food and time restrictive eating and what that does for you from a healthy longevity standpoint. I think this happens again when you are in your prime and you realize that half of your life has been lived, and how do you live, at least for me, a long, healthy life, not just a long life, but a healthy life. And so all of that comes into play throughout my day for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. Right. We can't, it's like we're here. I just had this discussion with somebody, and we were talking about how spirituality and a lot of the systems of spirituality and a lot of people who practice certain things are always trying to leave their body. They're trying to ascend, right? And they want to, go out into the outer realms and spend all this time there, that's the goal. And I look at spirituality very different. For me, it is understanding that that's who we are, that we are this multidimensional being and that we are connected to all these different realms, but we are squarely living from this place, this body on this earth. And if you don't take care of that
Yeah.
vessel, then you are going to probably go back to the spiritual realm quicker because,
Yeah.
we're here in this body.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to share, like, my twins who live in Nevada City, California are wholeheartedly har- like, embrace this space that you're alluding to and talking about. And I've learned so much from them about cadence of day, slowing down, pausing more, being in nature more. I mean, they literally are change makers
Mm.
that just embody every aspect of the spirit and value their temple more than anything,
Mhm.
knowing that it's, this infinite time that we are here. And a lot of how I've grown is through them, I have to
Mm.
share, because anyone that's listening that's a parent, my twins have very unconventional livelihoods compared to my oldest daughter, and view them, as I said, as change makers, because they really have found a way to to show up as their true spirit every day.
That's beautiful. And our kids teach us so much. They're here
Mm.
to show us. I love that they are the ones that introduce you to your current vocation and the work that you do that you've become an expert in. It's like they were the ones
Yeah.
that led you down that path.
Yeah, and now they both have a very strong Instagram presence, and we can, if you want, we can list them here, because I think people would really enjoy watching how they share on social from a place of true authenticity of self and spirit. But they ask me, like, nuance things about, wait, mom, in the DM there's an order form. Are you kidding me? Like, I can, like, check somebody out on the, I'm like, yeah, and there's a video, and
So
there's
you keep them up to date on all of the updates and the business uses of.
yeah, and they totally remind me of just being so present, and specifically being in nature. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, yes, beautiful, beautiful nature. It is such a gift for us to recognize that that's who we are too, that we're nature. And I think that's why
Yeah.
nature, being in it, feels so good because it is us, right?
Oh man. Yeah. So true. I'm so blessed that I live so close to the woods here, where I go regularly with my dog, and yeah, just touching, hearing, smelling, being
And you're
it
on the Cape, so the water just surrounding you too.
yeah, the ocean is right up the street, and
Mm.
I did a cold plunge in December. That was pretty
Whew.
wild.
Polar
Yeah, you
polar
can
plunge.
yeah. You can see Martha's Vineyard from where I am on Cape Cod, which
Mm.
is really special too.
Mm,
Yeah,
beautiful.
so I think, yeah, I'm definitely, the source of the sun too is the sun and the moon is are both so powerful to be so cognizant of every day, and understand where they are and the energy from them. And that's been relatively new for me too. Like, just look up at the sky and you see the stars and you feel the sun, but it's like, if you really feel that morning sun
Hmm.
first thing before any devices.
Yes. Yes. Like that's the first thing you do is let it hit your face.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such an incredible, simple practice, isn't it?
Oh, it
I,
is. It's the best.
yeah, the, uh, eclipse, the last full solar eclipse that we had. I experienced it in its totality because I live in Arkansas now, and the path came through here, and I had never experienced being in the totality during a solar eclipse. And
Wow.
holy wow. It was speak talking about, tapping into and understanding what this celestial body is. And you still don't understand it, but it's like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
knowing it in that way to by, having this happen in front of you. And then you're just in the midst of and in witness of what it's like a miracle. It is so I when I open my eyes, because of course, you can't look at it directly. So I
Yeah.
had the
Classes.
glasses on to look at it,
Yeah.
and as soon as it's fully occluded, you can take your glasses off. And when I took them off, I just burst into tears. I didn't know.
Mm.
I mean, I was excited for it, but I had no idea I was going to have that reaction. It just burst into tears, couldn't believe what I was seeing and experiencing and
Yeah.
wit and
Can we
just
just talk more about bursting into tears and
yes,
how
yes.
so many people like, the emotional intelligence of, crying just being an emotion and it's all good. It's not something that you need to comfort, but just it's not something you always need to comfort, but just feel and that's so poignant because it had such an emotional charge in you. It sounds like something similar when I was in Iceland and we got to see the whole sky light up.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
beautiful. If you haven't been to Iceland, that's a definite bucket list item. It's beautiful there.
It is wild there. It's like being on
Yeah,
another planet, isn't it?
so true. So true, especially when you're walking on the ice. Yeah, you felt yeah, it was great. I would definitely go back there too. So special, Icelandic community. I spoke at a conference there and I instead of getting paid, I just said, "Can you just give me like a private tour?" They hooked me up for a whole day with my
Awesome.
husband. And that was like next level because it was literally a private tour from the best group. And I'm like, this is perfect.
Being in these kinds of places, you have this appreciation, even a more deeper appreciation for the planet, the earth, the nature that we are part of when you get to see it and experience it, right? And I talk about travel a lot because the if you stay in your one place where you've always been and that's all you see, yes, you can go into depth in seeing, in your in your space around you. You can go deep in that, and there's beauty in that. But being able to see the aurora borealis, like you're talking about, being able to
Yeah,
go, well, if you had to travel to go see the totality of the eclipse or to go see these glaciers and waterfalls and all of what exists here, it's awe-inspiring. It awakens that spirit within you to be like, holy crap, look at what we're part of, right?
yeah. And that's why to me, travel is the luxury of all luxuries. And we are constantly planning a trip. We go somewhere at least once a month and plan big trips 1 or 2 times a year. Um, because I agree with you 100%. It's like when you can see things that your brain has never seen and experience food and people and culture and so much of life. To me, that is the biggest luxury in life is
Mhm.
to travel the world.
And
Yeah.
it awakens that latent spirit. I think that can become deadened by people's routines and
Mhm.
people's
Mhm.
bubbles that they live in. It's like when you open up in that way, you open up within too. Not everybody. I mean, certainly some people could probably travel around and never really go within and kind of drop into themselves. But I think it's
Yeah.
hard not to when you're appreciating it so much and you're intentionally going to places to see and to
Yeah.
experience. It's just it
Yeah.
naturally happens. So you were
What is the
in oh,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was gonna ask you where's the place that you've been in this world that is most awe inspiring to you?
Oh my gosh. You mentioned New Zealand earlier, and that was the first place I ever went by myself. And I spent a year there, and
Wow.
it
In North and South New Zealand? What
both,
part?
yeah, all over the country. I was studying abroad there, so I was quote unquote studying. I had a very limited amount of exposure to my university, and it was all really mostly travel. I traveled that whole country, and it changed my life, completely
Hmm.
changed my world. And I had my, not my very first, but of probably the most profound spiritual experience I've ever had on that island or on in that country. And so the natural beauty of New Zealand is enough to visit there. And then you add in, I think, at least when I was there, the limited amount of people, because you get to actually like move through the space and have your own experiences rather than being in
Hmm.
these places where it's just like, people everywhere. I was there a long time ago, so maybe, that's changed now. And I know New Zealand's become more popular, but it just blew
Yeah.
my doors open.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that you said. There's more sheep and cows than people. And what I remember most about New Zealand is there's no billboards, there's no wires above ground, and there's no cement. So the beauty is literally as if you're looking at paintings
Yes.
all day.
Yeah.
Like just beautiful paintings. And yeah, we had 2 beautiful weeks there, north and south. I mean,
Mm.
it's not enough. My husband and I definitely wanna go back. It's far away.
It is. It is so far. Yeah. And when you have so many other places on your list, right? That can be a
Yeah,
challenge too. I do want to go back there, take my husband and son, experience it with them, and experience it again after so many years. What about you? Do
yeah.
you have a place that knocked
Wow,
your
so
socks
when we did
off?
this 73 people ask us all the time, so I would definitely put New Zealand at the top of the list, but when we did this 73-day trip around the world, which was planned by an elite travel agent and agency, and she just really hooked us up in the most amazing spots that we stayed at. We started in Bora Bora, which is absolutely beautiful as well, but um, from there we went to Thailand, and that was fascinating, but so crowded. Like, I liked what you said, it's, like, so many people, so crowded, but just so much to see. I really like Phuket a lot and Chiang Mai. We did travel all over 2 weeks there, and then we went to Nepal. We went to Masamai, the safari. It was my 2nd time on a safari and my husband's first, and if you have never done a safari, it's, like, that's a whole 'nother spiritual awakening for sure, because you are literally in the middle of watching life unfold and animals die and and sometimes lucky enough to watch some birth. And yeah, I mean, it was just nature on steroids
Mm.
when you're out there on a safari. But a place that we loved and we're going back is Patagonia because we didn't spend enough time there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that is beautiful. I mean, it's so spectacular. Again, back to the spiritual. I think it's such a the thing about hiking is, other than taking photos on your phone, because that's what I did, if you're just feeling it and there and looking and walking, hiking for the day, half a day. We weren't able to do full day hikes because we didn't pack the right clothes on that trip for what you need.
Hmm.
And I didn't wanna really buy more clothes than we had for that 73-day trip. So that's why we're going back with 3 of our 3 daughters, because I want them to experience it with us.
Amazing. Are you
So
doing
I
it?
know I said a lot.
Yeah. Well, those are all incredible places
Yeah,
that, I agree with you that that travel is
this
the greatest luxury, but that luxury is not necessarily unattainable. And when we say
totally.
luxury, it's something
You
that,
can do youth hostels and
yeah,
experience. I mean, I have friends that have. I mean, you can make it be whatever is in your budget. There's always ways, especially with all these points that you can get on your credit cards now.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We were just in Europe for July and August. And, a lot of that was points and, using the right kind of credit card, honestly. So, yeah, there's so
Yeah, no,
much you can do there.
that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, it is. This has been so delightful. I'm really happy that
Yeah,
we got to reconnect and that I got to
yeah.
learn about this other side of you and these other aspects of you. I'm so excited to for our paths to cross more. I hope. I know you're going to be
Yeah.
at the Agents of Change conference in Portland, Maine next month. And then where can people find you elsewhere?
Yeah. Yeah, well, first I want to acknowledge you and thank you for pulling all this out of me because I haven't had the opportunity to speak this candidly about this part of who I am at the core. So, on the gram, the Instagram expert is our business account, but I'm going to be bringing back Sue B. Zimmerman, my personal account, for the next chapter of what I'm going to be moving into, which is going to be exciting. And I'm going to be speaking on multiple stages. So Agents of Change is great. And then I'm heading to, in February, I got asked to keynote at a dentist conference. I mean, come on, guys. Every industry needs to understand Instagram.
That's right.
So that's going to be cool. That's in Chicago. But if anyone's listening and you're curious, come into my DM and just say hi. Let me know what really resonated for you. And I do meetups whenever I travel. I get together with community members and take the time to do the in-person part of social, as we said, social media, which I think is special because you can talk about it on social and then have the opportunity to really embrace and be present with those that you want to, keep nurturing and connecting with.
It's the most fun, isn't it? When you get to meet somebody that
Yes,
you've only like messaged with online or had
totally.
that online exchange with and you get to meet them in person. It's super fun.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, I'm so happy that we've gotten to meet in person, have now
Yeah.
get to stay in touch more, and I hope I get to see you IRL soon again. Sue, thank you so much again for joining
Oh, you're so
us.
welcome. It was a complete pleasure.
You can stay on. I'm just going to stop the recording.